You are listening to Proof Text, a Glossa House podcast exploring Scripture and all things related to it. New episodes are released daily. For more information, check out glossahouse.com and subscribe to our channels on Spotify and YouTube. Welcome and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Proof Text. I am Michael Halcomb. I'm here with my friend J.M. Smith. J.M., how's it?
How's it, brother?
It's all right, man. It's good. Weather's good here today. Got a nice breeze going.
Everything good in the yurt?
Everything's good. They got the windows open.
Did you get new yurt lighting, or is it just the weather's just a little bit later? I don't think I've seen the purple yurt before.
Oh no? Yeah,
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's been around.
Okay, maybe I have.
Little sign I got made, the Proof Text sign.
I'll try to match. I was trying to spot match your yurt. There we go.
Almost. That's pretty good right there.
We're gonna be in a purple haze mood today.
It's nicer. It's nicer when it's darker.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It pops a lot more, but we're it's just 1:45 in the afternoon here, so yeah, light. I need to clean my yurt windows over there. They're kind of streaky. But yeah, man, nice day here. We've been in windstorms for about 3 or 4 or 5, 6 weeks, something like that. And finally, we got a break. So it's good to be with you. This is, for those of you watching or listening, this is an episode of 10 Questions where JM and I look at a single verse and interrogate it, asking 5 questions each, no answers. Today, and JM never knows where we're going, and I usually don't until right before we start. I just use the random Bible verse generator, and so I did today. So in this episode, we are looking at 2 Corinthians. That's where we're going to go. The JM, you can cue up your computer there. We are at 2 Corinthians 10, verse 3. 10:3. 2 Corinthians 10:3. And I'll read that for you. It says, the NIV, "For though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does." For though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. Yeah. JM, you want to take first question? You want me to?
Let's see. My coordinates was acting up, so it took me a second to get there. But I don't mind. I'll lead off.
All right.
Okay, wait. Sorry, I have to look at you read NIV, and it said, "For though we live in the world."
Yeah.
Okay, so my first question is, I don't see cosmos anywhere in this Greek text. I see sarki.
Yes.
So I want to know why they translate flesh as the world, because in the world and in the flesh are two very different concepts.
Yes. You kind of went on to my first question. That's a great insight. Mine is going to relate to that. So I'm just curious about the translation, because the Greek literally says, "For in the flesh we're walking around, not according to flesh. Are we waging battle? Or are we battling?" That sounds very different. I mean, incredibly different. So you asked, how do they get world from sarki? I'm asking, how do they get, "For though we live in the world, we don't wage war as the world does," from this verse?
Yeah. I would want to know that the last word, stratephomata.
Yeah.
That's the Koine pronunciation, maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
That's good.
I want to know, what does that mean to my gloss that's popping up says it has it glossed as "to serve as a soldier."
Yeah.
but all
In
the
the middle.
translations say to wage war. And
Great.
or
Yeah.
most of the translations that I'm looking at. So again, those are not the same thing. Waging war and serving as a soldier. Like, I mean, yeah, soldiers ultimately are there to fight wars, but serving as a soldier has sort of like a connotation of your role, like your occupation, your duty,
Yeah.
whereas waging war is an active, like battle imagery. So I that's my question. How is this word used elsewhere in Greek, and does it have either nuance more than the other?
Yeah, I mean that's interesting too because another gloss. So this is in the middle voice, stratevolmetha, and in the middle voice, as we learned from LSJ, this can mean serve in the army, to join the army, to be in the army, to enlist or enroll in the army, or even to receive into the army. So, um, for in the flesh we are walking around, uh, not according to the flesh do we join the army or enlist in the army, or serve in the army. Is this a literal thing, like talking about like an earthly army, like or is this like a spiritual analogy? Is it both? Like what's going on? Like if I'm just reading this in the by itself, like if I didn't know anything else about scripture and I just read this one verse, I would not I don't know that I would think this was a spiritual remark. We're walking around in flesh, but we don't enlist in the army according to flesh.
Mm.
What we enlist in the army because of we have a desire to honor our country, because we want to protect our fellow men and women. I don't know. Is that what it's going? Is it a social thing? Like, what is this? Yeah.
Mm. Let's see. Am I on two? I'm on three. This is my third question.
Yeah.
This would just be a basic question, like who is who is we, and who is Paul
Yeah.
talking to?
Very good.
Is he talking to a subset within the church? Is he talking about the Corinthian church and including himself as part of them with the we? Or is he talking about all Christians everywhere? And that's why he's using the we.
Ooh,
How literal is he being, or how inclusive, I guess, is he being with this?
very good. So you asked, is he talking to a subset? Just that brought to mind for me the idea, could there be a military subset within the congregation that he's talking to? And that, is he talking literally to them as a subset in front of a larger group? Or is he somehow just making an analogy? Like, I'm very curious, are we talking about literal army and literal soldiers here?
Right.
Or is this just an analogy? So could he possibly be talking to actual soldiers as a subset?
Hmm. Let's see. That's your question?
Yeah, that's my question.
Okay. My fourth question then would be, um, what, how is this related to how Paul talks about the flesh in Romans?
Hmm.
Um, Particularly like Romans 7, Romans 6 and Romans 7, but Romans 7, all about the flesh. And that's the flesh is presented as like an enemy or something that kept him in bondage, and he was sold into slavery under it and has been set free, and it's like a former master. Is this, can you connect this to that concept? Like in other words, can you do this is what Paul means when he says the flesh,
Right.
and link them together? Or is this a completely different metaphor where he's using sarx that doesn't have any connection with Romans 7 or elsewhere where he talks about it? Yeah. How closely can you link this to his discussion in Romans? That's my fourth question.
Great. My fourth would just be this participle peripatundes, walking around, walking about. For for in the flesh, we're walking around. What is meant by that? I guess we're just walking around in the flesh. Why he needs to negate that by not according to the flesh do we enlist or participate or whatever, however we're going to translate stratev ometa. But peripatundes, like we're just walking around in the flesh. Is there something more to this? Like are we literally just like walking around? Does this mean like, we're walking around, we're like walking with a sense of purpose, like we're walking on a certain path? Why just say this? We're walking around in the flesh. I don't know. So I'm intrigued by this statement, use of this verb, and I noticed that he just ends the previous verse with the same word, a little bit of different form, and in there he says, os kata sarka peripatundes, as if or as according to the flesh, walking. For we are walking in flesh, around in the flesh. I don't know. I'm intrigued. Why this term these participial forms here from peripateo? Intrigued by them. They seem like very opposite of what a soldier is doing. If a soldier's in battle or enlisting, like you're just walking around. Right. Yeah, so what's going on here? I'm intrigued.
Yeah, my last question then is this whole I'm just curious, this whole paragraph, this whole section is filled with battle imagery or combat imagery, demolishing strongholds, and when I come to see you face to face, being bold, and all this stuff. Like it's combative imagery throughout. But and this may just be my lack of New Testament background knowledge, but when I think of Corinth, battle imagery isn't the first thought that comes to mind. Like if this were written to Rome, or if this were written to somewhere that, I more typically associate with military presence or something, and maybe it was, maybe my Corinthian knowledge is bad, and I'm too used to thinking of Corinth as like a debauched, like Vegas type place, and maybe it did have a large military presence. But in my mind, typically, I don't associate Corinth with military imagery. So that makes me want to go back and ask, how prevalent was military, Rome's military might in Corinth?
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's hard not to give an answer to that question. I want to very badly.
Yeah, you may very well know, and then that's just where I am admitting my ignorance, that I would need to go study more.
Yeah, so I think I think that is the absolute right direction to go. I think your hunch is very, very correct there. Looking into the military presence in Corinth. You might be surprised what you find. Yeah. So I guess my last question would be, I guess, just more contextual. Is Paul, well, one, where does this fit within the wider argument of his epistle? Where does this come in the rhetorical? There's a rhetorical structure to this epistle. Where does it fall within the rhetorical structure, and what role does this part of the argument play in reinforcing that rhetorical aim? So I guess to put it in a nutshell, where does this fall within the rhetorical framework of the letter, and how does it reinforce that rhetorical aim? Yeah.
All right.
That's kind of vague. That's a vague question, but it's an important one. Once you realize what portion of the letter this is, it might become very important. What's happening rhetorically. So, well, if you're watching and you're as intrigued by this as we are, the military imagery, and the rhetoric, then we encourage you to go dig in yourself and see what you can find. Yeah, we'll stop there. Go check out discipledojo.org. Check out Disciple Dojo's YouTube page. Check out the Glosa House YouTube page and glosahouse.com. We got live classes running over at Glosa House. Now we've just launched Glosa House U, and would love for you to join us doing some of those live classes. We got a couple Greek classes, a Greek exegesis course with Fred Long, and a conversation of Greek class with me. So you can start learning Greek. We're having a great time. But yeah, lots of free resources on our page, both of our websites and pages. So, JM, thanks for your time and your insights.
My pleasure.
And thanks everybody for watching. I'll stop there and say I hope that helps.
Interested in growing your ancient language skills but not sure where to start? Glosa House can help. From illustrated readers and short stories to lexicons and grammars, Glosa House offers a variety of resources for beginning, intermediate, and experienced ancient language learners. Head to glosahouse.com today. Glosa House, language resources for the global community.